Donald Trump took to the Ritz-Carlton. It was over in Amelia Island, Florida, and he was talking to the Heritage Foundation. He had a speech, so he wanted to appeal to the crowd. And as soon as he went in, of course, he had his normal list of grievances and potential calls for how he might run again in 24 and get back into office. But either way it goes, he did go back to daydream about how much he wishes he was just this dictator and a smart guy. Watch.
First they said, not too smart. Then I did that. They said, well, that all went away. I really did that. I said, Doc Ronnie, I got to take a test. He said, the problem is, sir, this is essentially a public place, one of the great hospitals of the world, right? He said, but you have a series of doctors sitting there and all, and if you do badly, the word's going to get out. I said, I know that. How tough is it? He said, it's very tough. I said, ooh, let's give it a shot. And I did it in front of a panel, and we aced it. And the one person said, that's the first time I've ever seen anyone ace it. Isn't that nice? So all of that stuff stopped, Steve. It was very nice, okay? But then they made me a dictator instead. In other words, I don't know, which would you rather be, a dumb person or a dictator? I don't know, perhaps a dictator would be better. I don't want to be a dumb person.
Well, in Donald Trump's own world, he can be both.
Yeah.
So first off, whenever you can tell, this is one of the indications, at least from my book, when you tell someone's lying and telling a long story, because that was definitely an aside, talking about how he went in and Ronald Jackson told me this, then I told me that. Then you said, sir, if he gives a bunch of extra details that we have no need for, it's because he's filling some space to get to that next stage of the lie, or to build up his image within this fantasy that he's created for you to listen to. So, Ronnie Jackson told me, yeah, should we ask? I said, yeah, sure, let's give it a shot. All those things, the BS that was involved in that was the indication that he's lying. Anyways, he's stupid and a dictator, or wannabe dictator. Outside of that, he continued on. He was, again, talking to these folks for the Heritage Foundation. And since he was talking about his unfulfilled dreams of being a dictator, he did talk about his ability to damage America's reputation internationally. Let's listen to that.
Everybody was delinquent, they didn't pay. And they asked me, one of the presidents of the countries at a closed meeting, 28 countries at that time, they said, well, sir, are you saying that because they knew I was very unhappy, because we were paying we were paying for most of it, in my opinion, but a very high amount. So we're defending Europe. At the same time, they rip us off on trade, very, very seriously rip us off. And he said, does that mean that you won't protect us in case, if we don't pay? You won't protect us from Russia, was the Soviet Union, but now Russia. I said, that's exactly what it means. Now, if I said, no, I don't mean that, then why would they pay? So somebody had to say it. I was amazed it didn't get out. I was amazed. The fake news didn't pull it out. I don't know, maybe nobody wanted to talk about it. I said, no, that's exactly, and the money started to flow in. And the Secretary General said, I never saw money like this in my life.
The Secretary General's never seen money at all. I was like, Donald, oh my God, what are these green pieces of paper? I've never seen this before. This is amazing. Again, there he's talking about NATO and how he threatened other members of NATO that he won't fulfill our role because he's upset about this. A few graphics here on that. Because NATO's guidelines say that each nation must pay 2% of its gross domestic product on defense by 2024. And the remarks that he's talking about come as NATO could potentially expand again in light of Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Finland and Sweden have signaled that they will look to join the alliance. And we know that some of the people who are, first of all, standing up for Russia and defending this invasion are like, well, why do we have all these folks in NATO? That's what angered Russia in the first place. That's what some folks are also saying. So when other countries want to get involved, they're definitely probably not very happy about that part, specifically because of things like what he was saying there. But lastly, as he was going through this whole thing, he seems very proud of himself. He's a dictator, he's a smart guy. He tells NATO off. But when it comes to vaccines and his beautiful, wonderful base, he gets a little bit cowardly. Watch this.
One of our greatest achievements was getting the vaccine done in 9 months instead of 5.5 to 12 years. But the problem is, we saved tens of millions of lives all over the world, but I can't talk about it because our base, our beautiful base of which some of you are there, you get angry when we mention the word vaccine. Don't get angry. We did it in 9 months, less than 9 months, right? Less than 9 months. And frankly, a lot of people are living today because of that. So I'll talk about it.
There's a lot there, but lastly on that vaccine part, just from my thought, is if you have to tell your group of very beautiful, wonderful base to not get upset about something you just said in that same sentence saved a lot of lives, You're saying your base doesn't like saving lives, but they all applaud.
Yeah, I didn't even put it together like that. It's factual. There's nothing you can say to the. He's like, yeah, my base a bunch of idiots saying they didn't like that we saved tens of millions of lives, and that's what he just said. Well, the point I wanted to make about that clip is he has verbal diarrhea. And so I said one of the things I had given him credit for before was he A/B tests in front of a crowd. So he'll say one thing and he'll say the exact opposite and see what they respond to.
Yeah.
So now you see a little bit of that here because he noticed that his base doesn't like it when he brags about the vaccine, right? But at the same time, I thought that was strategy. No, he just can't help himself. So even though he knows it's not gonna help him politically, he's like, no, but I did the vaccine, goddamn it, give me credit. God, I know you don't want to, but give me the goddamn credit. Because, right? So, and JR's right, whenever he says, and then this person told me, it doesn't matter, don't listen. The rest of it is definitely a lie, right? A Secretary General says, I've never seen this kind of money. There's no way the Secretary General said that. Come on, you know that. Sir, come on, you know that. Even if you're a right winger, you know that, right? And get a load of him bragging about like, I wasn't gonna protect NATO from Russia. Russia just invaded Ukraine. That's how can you brag about that? But he doesn't, and his base loves it. They're like, oh yeah, man, Trump's such a tough guy. He was gonna let all the Ukrainians die, and if they go to NATO, Ukraine's not a NATO country. If they go to Poland and other NATO countries, he's gonna let them die. I had a boy, right? They're amazing, they're amazing. And then on the first one, the test that he aced, where he said, the doctor said, we've never seen that. We've never seen anyone do it. It's a test for senility. No, I'm not joking. It's a bare minimum mental competence. That's what the test is for. So the doctor said he's never seen anyone pass above mental competence before. Holy cow, man, that place must be decimated, right? He's like, you're the first one to pass the senility test. Jesus, who are you giving the test to? And he's like, they were calling me dumb, but I proved that I wasn't by passing a senility test and then bragging about it. Did you prove that you aren't dumb? Did you? Okay. Yeah. And then between dumb and dictator, he chose dictator. Good to know. He did in fact try to choose dictator in the real world as well. But as JR pointed out, the whole time I was screaming, both! The correct answer is both! Bridget.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever realized it before you said this. His brags are always also kind of self-owned, which I find really strange. And when he goes on these long tirades, I feel like I'm listening to Grandpa Simpson tell a story like, I tied an onion to my belt and then this happened and then this happened. But his base eats it up, they love it. He could say whatever and they love it, they applaud. It is wild to me.
Yeah, if you notice, there was a little part there in the NATO one. This is the least important, but it just gives you a sense of how he thinks. He says, we were giving the majority of the money to NATO, I think. Wait, you were the president of the United States and you made a big deal out of it, and now you're retelling the story. You never asked, did you, if we were paying the majority? He just doesn't know. And he doesn't care to know. And what's, again, as we've all been pointing out, the most amazing part is that his voters don't care that he doesn't know. They're like, oh man, guy's the first one to pass the senility test. We love that guy. Not senile, I think, we're pretty sure, okay? And does he not know anything? But go the limbs.
It's actually harder to lie if you know things. You know, if you come into a situation, you have no clue how this works, you can lie about it because you just make it up and there's no other information in your head that you have to refute to accidentally say the right thing. So it's really good to just not know anything, which he embraces quite well, and then he can go and lie about it. You know, if you know everything about how to, assemble a bicycle, a 10-speed bike, and then someone says, yeah, tell us how to do it, and you want to lie just to mess with them, you might accidentally point out there's a chain involved.
Yeah, no, I love what you guys said. I love what Bridget said about the belt with the tomato on it or onion, whatever it was. It's like that's the kind of thing he would say. Oh yeah, I had a belt. Ben Carson almost did say it. Oh, I had the belt and I almost killed somebody. You remember that story? Yeah. God, they're caricatures. And to JR's point, so people tell you like it's like an old adage, like, hey, be careful about lying, because it's hard to remember your lies, right? The truth is easy to remember, lies are hard to remember, right? But in Trump's case, he doesn't have to remember it. It doesn't matter. He could just tell a completely different story next time. Every part of the story could be wrong. The story can contradict itself within the same story. No one cares. The Republican voters are like, oh man, you see how the way he lied within the story and then lied in a different way within the same story? On the lips.
Yep. They're so mad about him lying. They get mad about the lying.
Yeah. They love that we get mad about his lies. Well, are you guys happy about it? And I guess the answer is yeah. They're like, oh, we love it when you lie to us. And we did a story earlier today. Steve Bannon's co-conspirators pled guilty. They ripped off conservative voters to the tune of $25 million. They robbed, not libs. Nobody gave money to build a wall, the private wall on the Mexican border. All conservatives, $25 million, totally ripped off. Guys are going to jail, right? And Trump pardoned Bannon, a criminal who robbed from his own voters. And they're like, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that's it. I mean, there's a saying in Turkish, there's two. One is close the book, it means just we're done with it. Others drink a cold glass of water. Okay, same thing. In this case, do both. Close the book, drink a cold glass of water. Okay, there's nothing that's gonna move the Republican voter.
There's my last thought on this. There is the legwork that the Republican Party has done to get their supporters to literally not care about themselves is actually the hardest work they've done.
God, these are such great points.
They cultivated it over decades. So now it's easy now. It's like they did all their work in school, so now you don't have to do the homework. So it's all there. Everyone is, no matter what you say, will follow along right behind you. So they're like, this has gotten easy. Our predecessors and maybe people that are still in office now, like Chuck Grassley, who are 97 years old, they'll be like, they set up the stage for us. Now we don't have to do anything. We can just say things and they'll follow right behind us. That's the real work of the Republican Party.
100% right. For brilliant points like that every day, go to the watch list. That's JR's show. It's live, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and you could go to youtube.com/watchlistTYT. Seriously, JR, that's such a great point. They've been conditioned to accept their own leaders lying to them, betraying them, working against their own interests, and they now root for it. It's one of the most amazing brainwashing jobs in history. So in a sense, to the Republicans 40, 50 years ago that started that pattern, you gotta give them credit. I mean, that is some evil genius stuff.
They had a plan.
Yeah, they had a plan and it worked.
and it worked. And they executed it.
If you showed it to like those guys, and we've covered them before, the guy who started the Heritage Foundation, et cetera. Remember the guy who
Weyrich? Was he?
Yeah, Paul Weyrich, right? And you showed some of those early leaders a clip of Trump from today, and you said, hey, 40 years from now, there's gonna be a Republican leader that just makes out the most outrageous lies, and then you showed them the tape. They'd probably be like, oh my God, we did it. We got the American people to believe anything. And remember what the whole point of the Republican Party is: to help the rich. The guys who originally hatched these plans in the 1970s and 80s talked about creating a party that could trick enough of the American voters to accidentally, without realizing it, vote for people who are gonna help the rich. And their number one target, by the way, was religious people. And they said, go target the evangelical Christians. They're the ones that ask the least questions. They follow authoritarian leaders. You just tell them what to do, and they'll be like, oh yeah, take the money from me and give it to the rich guy. That's what they do every day at church. You remember the prosperity preachers and all those guys? Then they said, give me my 12th jet, and people give it to them. They're like, well, those are our perfect voters. We go to them and we train them to vote on behalf of the rich, that's us, and they will. And they did it, And they got a blithering idiot like Donald Trump to execute it, and it still worked. So hats off to Paul Weyrich and all the ghosts of GOP past. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.